NFT.NYC community. This is going to be a fun conversation. I have Alt Anonymous coming to us from the metaverse with his Metahead. We got to meet in Las Vegas in January. You came to see my conversation with Marjorie at CES. We're talking metaverse and so many more things. And then we got to spend time together there at the VIP event that we did. And I got to meet the real you. But today, you're coming to us from the metaverse. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your involvement in the NFT space, please?
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me on, Ian. I love everything you do with NFT.NYC, and your background, perspective, and everything is so unique. And you guys are helping raise the bar for these NFT events, right? You're kind of leading the way in this space and bringing so many communities together, which we all really appreciate. But yeah, no, I'm Alt Anonymous. I'm founder, creator of Metaheads, my collection, and I'm a co-founder of Keys DAO, which is kind of a Luxo community-based accelerator. I'm an incubator. I'm a creative director, but a storyteller at heart, and a community builder. That's kind of what I've evolved to really focus on, which is what really excites me in this space is the people that are involved in it, right? And just like the evolution of all of it, it's fascinating to have like a front row seat to everything.
Well, you're more than a front row seat. You are in the field with your sleeves rolled up, getting bloody, sweating it out. I think, you don't just focus on one area of engagement. You're everywhere. You're all over the place and very much on purpose. I was hoping that you and I could start by talking identity. Identity has changed in the distributed ledger world, the decentralized world. And this goes as far back as when Bitcoin white papers being written and people are starting to investigate what would cryptocurrency be like. And then today, in all the DAOs that are created and all the NFT projects that people are investing in and being a part of. So give me some insight on identity in the new world.
Well, identity it's kind of having its own revolution. So we saw with, cryptocurrency in general, like when we all know how impactful the internet is on the world, right? But we never had a way to store value on the internet, and cryptocurrency gave us that, and we've also never had the ability to store or create identity or actual true reputation on the internet. We have we can do it in small pockets and closed systems, but we don't own that stuff, right? So we're starting to see some standards come through that are going to allow us to actually truly create a decentralized identity, brand, reputation that we actually own and control ourselves. Which, that's what really excited me as an artist in the real world. I definitely struggled with some of the typical legacy system, constructs. But in this space, it's such a nascent new sandbox that we don't have the same issues with, expectations and stuff. So we're here to play, we're here to create, we're here to learn. And the technology is really new. Like you can see, my avatar is not quite lifelike yet, right? We're still so early. It kind of gives you an idea, but we're here to focus on the foundations. So that way, when it does get built out, that it's inclusive, that it's open source, that it's kind of for everybody. And as active participants, as Ethan Lorian, one of my good friends, likes to say, we get to shape and curate our journeys ourselves.
There's obviously you and we're still fostering our identity in the real world. Right? We have all sorts of things that our identity is tied to: our family, our friends, our career, how we spend our time, our hobbies, the pictures and videos that are taken of us. And then we have options for our digital identity. Me, right? I'm only known as Ian Utility. I have no anonymity whatsoever. I have no fake accounts. It's all just by name. I'm the only person in the world with the name Ian Utility. So that's obviously helpful for me. And then there's friends like you that have chosen to build an identity online that's not tied to your physical identity. How do you think the journey is a bit different for you and your peers that are building out anonymous identities that are not doxed, and people like myself that are just building upon the physical identity, same name, same image, same heart, same purpose, and there's no anonymity, it's just built upon? How do you think those two paths differ, and what have you learned in building a anonymous digital identity through this process?
Well, I think they're both very important, like in the future moving forward. Everyone's story and path is different, right? And I said like my motivation for choosing anonymous wasn't necessarily so people couldn't find me. It's in the real world, it's more like so the people in the real world couldn't find me, right? The people that I know, like I just wanted to sidestep all those, issues with anxiety and expectations and stuff. And then I found myself really flourishing like I hadn't, really been before. So but I think, you need that duality and that's actually what excites me. Like with what Luxo is doing with universal profiles, you could actually have two identities on the blockchain. You could have your real world one that's, paired to your, who knows, it could be like your insurance policies, whatever. It doesn't really matter that you're going to need like your actual legit one. And you could also have like a pseudo anonymous one if you wanted, or a fully anonymous one. But the fact that you can control those and mold them how you like is really impactful, I think, because I think like we all kind of can see this Ready Player One style world that we're hopefully headed towards, who knows, it might be 50 years, who knows, but like that's the path. At the center of that is going to be each of our identities. And it's everything needs to be built to that, and it needs to be in a decentralized manner, so it can be sustainable and we can control it how we like, right?
So your birthday was recently, and I got to see the way that the Twitter community, whether it was through Hyphen Chat or on the Twitter Spaces, how they celebrated you. What is it like being celebrated by your community as you're anonymous? Does it feel the same? Do you feel equally celebrated with a digital identity, or does it feel different? Is it a different feeling knowing that people are celebrating this person that you are digitally, but maybe they don't know all of you? So can you share a bit about like special life moments like that and how it might differ depending on the experience of your digital identity?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And this was like the first, birthday that I've had where I was really fully like engrossed in this, building out this digital identity. But it's really cool because there's like the Proteus effect where it's like you can actually identify with your avatar more than your in real life. If you literally think about like consciousness and ego and things like that, we are an avatar in the real world, right? Like no one can truly understand what's in our own minds, right? So we have to kind of build something to show them. But with with online digital identities, it's like we actually have more customize them more, because it's like we're born with whatever looks we have, but our avatars can reflect things that we inspire to be or that we dream about. But it's like I think we have more customization, which is really cool. And it kind of you can actually embody more of your own values, I think, in some ways. And that's what I chose to do. So like let's filter and just more be myself, and that's what was so amazing, that the community actually like vibes with that, because it's like I just was being myself, and then I've got nothing but support and love. So it just inspires me to just keep going harder. Right. And all I want to do is find ways to give back and bring my community, with me and help grow them and help them how they are. And yeah, it's a really positive space. It's really cool. And the fact that it's anonymous and it doesn't, people know me as alts, and it's like that dynamic I've really come to love. Like, I get called alts more than my real name because I converse with so many people on Spaces and in Discord and chats and stuff. And now the real world events are coming more and more. Like I can't wait to go to New York for NFT.NYC and everybody's gonna know me as alts again, and it's just great. It's really cool.
Let's talk a bit about community. And maybe one of the most exciting things about community are the beginnings of DAOs. So you're the co-founder of Keys DAO. Maybe you could talk about DAOs, your perspective in general, community, and then we could dive into Keys DAO specifically.
Sure. Yeah. DAOs are, another tool in this like Web3 space that allows like the community to maintain some control, right? And that's one of the beautiful things about this space is we're seeing projects actually, work with their communities to build some of this stuff out. And it's like it's more of a collaboration, in the legacy system. It's, it's more of like a consumer, right? You're a consumer, you might be a byproduct of the system. Whereas in Web3, you can be an active participant and you can actually engage and stuff like that. So I think that dynamic is changing really, really fast.
And how about Metaheads? You're wearing a MetaHead in virtual reality right now, coming to us in that way. Tell us about what you've created and tell us about what the vision is for this project, please.
Yeah. So, I mean, this Metaheads just kind of started as a way for me to just tell a story. It actually is birthed, speaking community, the first community. I mean, I've been in this space for several years, and I kind of bounced around some like token communities, you know, in the old days. And then when NFTs came around, like the evolution of community changed because we started getting some more utility. Like even just with the art and the PFP, we could see the early generation of identity, right? And community kind of coming together behind something. And that's what kind of Keys DAO is focused about, is empowering the community, and MetaHeads embodies that same mentality, finding ways to empower, you know, creators and of all kinds, right? Like artists, like I want to amplify the voices of artists, because there's so many talented artists in this space. It's insane. It just blows me away on a daily basis, right? And I mean, we've been for, I don't know, in a bear market or whatever for like a year, but I haven't even noticed. Like every day, all I want to do is just like get engrossed in the art and the culture. And yeah, and we're literally on the forefront of this. We're shaping like the new digital culture, right? And so MetaHeads it's my main focus is to find ways to bring my community in and help them be a part of the story, right? And find ways to give back and kind of have like a joint venture, you know, kind of curated by alts, you know, running through the metaverse. And alts in general, like the evolution of me it's been really interesting to watch, like as these things evolve and the utility grows and I get more embedded in these communities and this new wave of culture. Like I just keep finding new forms of myself too along the way. But it's great. And to see all my friends and do the same, going through the same thing in similar ways. You know, whether you're doxed or not, we all of our journeys in this next wave are kind of starting.
Can you talk a bit about some of the communities that you're a big part of? You know, Clone X comes to mind. You know, I saw a lot of really positive things that you were constantly saying and kind of helping be part of that community, build that out. But there's others. So you just want to mention a few that you've really enjoyed, not just the NFT, not just the value created or whatnot, and the utility of the NFT, but specifically those communities that you've bonded with. Any that you want to kind of mention and call out specific things that you honor most about those communities?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I bounced around for a bit, but I was searching for something. I wanted more, right? You kind of get into the space like wanting to make some money, but you know, some of us kind of evolve beyond that and start looking for more. And for me, like the first one was Luxo, when I found a project that was really focused on the things that I was focused on, like where is this space going to be in 5 years, right? Like forward thinking, and to find the community members there are amazing. Like they're like-minded with similar values, right? And that's actually how I found Artifact was from Luxo, a drop they did with Dematerialized, and I got on they got on my radar, and I locked into them. And when they were announced that they were doing a project at some point, I was like, okay, I've got to get involved, you know? And so of course it was a no brainer for me to get into CloneX, and that community is amazing too. And there's a lot of like, all the communities I'm a part of, like there's a lot of overlap, right? Which is really cool because it's also organic. And that's one of the beautiful things about this Web3 communities is the ones I'm involved in, at least, are extremely organic. And, you know, like with CloneX, that community, it's a lot of the creators are taking the lead, you know, because the team's giving us a lot of these tools and they're teaching us how to be sustainable in the long run, and create our own ecosystems and economy, like that can be separate from the market. You know, as you said, like it's like, yeah, you kind of get into it for the value of the NFTs, but I'm really mostly excited about, you know, like pretty soon I think we're getting our avatars, and you know, I love rocking my Metahead, but I can't wait to rock my PFP CloneX too. You know, and that's going to be like ultra high level quality stuff, right? So and like for actually before CloneX came around, I was going through the process of figuring out how to build out the avatar and with the motion capture and all that stuff. And that process is intense and it's expensive, right? So they're just going to give that to people and say, go create, you know? So that's one of the great things. I can't wait to see these stories. I know there's a lot of projects in that community too. Another great community, like from an artist community, is Teflon Sega. He's got ride or die day ones that will, have been with him forever. But he's such an underrated, and that's the thing. I feel like all these projects are so under the radar because I'm in them, and I see how amazing the people are and how talented everyone is. And one thing that's cool that Teflon's doing, and we're actually in the process of a drop right now, but he's pulling the community into the story, which I really love and admire. And we get to be active participants in his story, in his universe. And even like his music videos on this platform called Wave XR, the community can be logged on, and our comments and our emoticons and stuff, they get embedded into the music video live, like stuff like that. Like the dynamics between brands and artists and creators and their communities is that we have a direct line now, and we can manifest any sort of collaboration our imaginations can come up with in this space. That's one of the main advantages, of being so early.
Well, I could keep talking with you forever, but I do have other guests. So let's wrap up there. You mentioned Luxo, you mentioned Dematerialized. And so my next couple guests are Fabian of Luxo and Marjorie of Dematerialized. Can we maybe end our conversation, and can you share some insights on the importance of leadership and what you see the great leadership qualities in that couple and the organizations that they're leading?
Oh yeah. They were the main attractor for me with Luxo. When I dug deep, like the fundamentals of everything were amazing. But just the track record of those two, they lead this project so well, and they have such an amazing dynamic. It's like, if you could imagine, it's hard to even imagine either one had a weakness, but if they did, the other one's got them covered, right? Like, and it's not even just, it's like the tech side of things, it's the culture side of things, it's the art side of things. Like, they just have a great overall grasp of everything. And they seem like one of the most like transparent and honest, like even their ICO, they invented a way to do a reversible ICO to protect their community and investors in a new way. And just like leaders that, are kind of pushing the boundaries in this space, and keeping in mind about open source and decentralization and what's really important, that means a lot to me as a community member.
Well, I think it does to everybody that's a part of their community. I sure enjoyed our conversation today. It's been so fun to see your influence grow since we met about 6 months ago, and looking forward to spending time with you in New York for NFT.NYC. For anybody that's watching us live, we hope you join us in Times Square, June 20th through the 23rd, certainly for our event, where we'll have all the action happening, that will have all these stages, but there's hundreds of others of events that are happening. And so just come to New York, come be a part of the community, regardless of what you do, where you go. Come spend time with all of us as we collaborate together and find ways of multiplying each other's work and impact. Alts, thanks for jumping on with me. Totally fun. I'm so glad that I asked you to come and have a conversation that we could share with the community. And you're a great representative of your community and of your peers. So thanks for being with me.
Thank you so much for having me, Ian. I can't wait to see your next couple of spots, and
I know,
enjoy your day. And I look forward to meeting you, seeing you again in New York.
That's right. All right, everybody, I'll be back in about 15 minutes with Fabian from Luxo if you want to come join us. Have a great day.